Why, hello everybody, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another survival challenge, more specifically, a Cult of the Lamb survival challenge. For people who haven't been to my channel before, it works pretty simply. We take a bunch of fictional characters, we throw them into some other world or universe, and see what might happen. What different characters will interact with other characters, what will be their allies, their enemies, what might go down, that whole gist. If you don't know anything about the Lands of the Old Faith, which is the island that we're going to be sending these people to, it's the place in Cult of the Lamb and all that, I've made several other videos going into detail of what they might find once they get onto the island. So I'm going to put a link up here somewhere, probably in one of the corners around this time, maybe, if I don't forget or care. And you can go watch that video and that'll explain everything, okay? Okay. But I'm wasting up your time. Let's get started. First up on the chopping block, we have Akainu from One Piece. Originally, this was supposed to be Ozai from Avatar, but I very quickly came to my senses after realizing that Ozai would get railed worse than your mother on prom night if I put him in this challenge. So Akainu it is. Now, you might be arguing that Akainu and the Marines aren't really conquerors, so they don't really belong here, but I would argue that Akainu is in control of the Marines, and the Marines are the arm of the world government, and you don't really become a world government unless you conquered somebody somewhere at some point. So I think it fits. Having said that, what exactly are the Marines and / world government capable of? And well, it's a lot. It's a lot of, they're capable of a lot of stuff. In terms of physicality, they're all over the fucking place. You have certain members in the Marines who I could probably run faster than, while you have other characters who are competing with like light speed attacks and shit. And arguably even going beyond that, since you have shit like snake form and stuff that Luffy has that increases his speed even beyond after he's already shown competing with light speed shit. We don't really know what the highest speed is. Oda doesn't really make it clear, but we know it's bare minimum light speed at the top tiers, probably higher than that, but to what degree, who the fuck knows? In terms of physical strength, we've seen characters do all sorts of things, from chop mountains in half, to cause an earthquake that shifted the entire ocean, to blow up more mountains. At one point, this guy named Don Chinjao split a continent in half, but we're never given what the size of the continent is. Is it a really big continent? I don't fucking know. Doesn't really matter, because the physicals aren't really going to be the thing that's going to help them out the most here. The thing that's going to help them out the most is the shit that One Piece is known for, which is basically the hockey stuff and the devil fruit stuff. Characters in One Piece have these things called devil fruits, which give them all sorts of crazy weird powers. Some of these fruits are really, really stupid and don't help all that much, but the majority of them are at least somewhat useful, and the ones that are in the Marines, and more specifically the higher end Marines, are like really, really, really good. The other side of that is hockey, and among hockey there are 3 different forms. Do I have to explain hockey to you? Like, if you clicked on this video and you're watching this segment, you already know like hockey and all the forms, and you know the different devil fruit types. Like, I don't have to explain it, right? Okay, all right. Just to summarize, hockey basically lets you do 4 things. You could fuck up dudes, you could stop yourself from being fucked up, you could see yourself in the future fucking someone up, and you can make a dude get knocked out without actually having to fuck him up. That's basically the best description that exists on the internet for what hockey is. And there are many, many, many Marines, including Akainu himself, who have all of these powers, whether it be devil fruits or hockey. Although, I will say, devil fruits have really kind of lost their like importance in the series after a while. Initially, when they introduced devil fruits, they basically say that like devil fruit powers are so rare and amazing. If you have devil fruit powers, you're unstoppable and blah 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 blah. And if you're a Zoan fruit that allows you to turn into animals and shit, you're the greatest melee fighter possible, because Zoan is the best power to have for physical melee confrontations, because your power level basically gets multiplied by whatever animal you turn into. So like regular humans can't quite compete, but then that's sort of instantly thrown out because we see Zoans all the time getting their asses beat and overpowered by characters who are not Zoan fruits. Like when Zoro is shown fighting Kaku, Kaku should be, because he's multiplying his power with the power of a giraffe, physically more powerful than what Zoro's even capable of fighting against. But when we see them clash strength to strength, Zoro is clearly more powerful, like physically stronger. So the point that they were saying about the Zoan devil fruits automatically multiplying your strength, how much stronger was Zoro to Kaku before he ate the fucking fruit? It must have been pretty goddamn significant for that to like not apply anymore, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of just gets exacerbated as the series goes on. Like when you get to the very top tier of the universe, you'll see a character with a devil fruit and another character who just like punches shit really hard, and both of them are kind of equal. That's not the case in the lower tier. Like if you're two weak ass dudes and one eats a devil fruit, dude who eats a devil fruit is beaten and dude who didn't eat a devil fruit. But when they're the top tiers, if one of them decides to eat a devil fruit, it doesn't actually make him more powerful than the other guy. It just sort of adds a different flavor to the way he fights. The fist fighting Garp is one flavor, and then you have like a swordsman in Mihawk that's kind of like another flavor, and then you have some sort of devil fruit user, you know, like Akainu, that's another flavor, but none of them are like more powerful than the other. You can have a dude with no sword fight against a dude with a sword, or a dude with a devil fruit fight against a dude with a sword, or an unarmed dude, and they can kind of all fight on par, even though it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like in theory, the dude with the sword should kill the dude who doesn't have a sword, and the dude with superpower should kill both of them, but it really doesn't matter. It's just sort of, it's like flavor text. Anyway, point is, what we're gonna end up having here is Akainu discovers this new island that he's never seen before. Maybe it's in the One Piece world, maybe he goes through some kind of fucking special portal and comes to a new world, and he sees this island and he's like, what is this? We're the Marines, we gotta check this shit out. This is land that we don't know about and we don't have power over. Let's fucking go there. So they go there with their fleet to check it out, see what's going on, and they run into lands of the Old Faith. And them, with all their hockey powers and their giant army of crazy bullshit, show up on the shore to find out that this island has lost its fucking mind. It is filled with all sorts of crazy cults that have human sacrifices and forced cannibalism and torture and a slave trade and all kinds of crazy shit. And Akainu's like, whoa, this is a lot of fucking evil. Because if you don't know Akainu, he's really big on not liking evil. Like he's like really hates evil, but he is okay with doing evil if it means he could fucking fuck up other people's evil. So it's like trying to stop your house from burning down by throwing more fire on it. So how are the Marines going to do once they arrive to the island? Well, just like right out the gate, the absolute weakest fodder Marines aren't going to be able to do shit to literally anyone on the island. Nobody. Not a single person. Even the basic bitch cultists can destroy boulders of equivalent size to them and have some kind of magical ability where they can like shoot spells and fucking do all kinds of crazy shit like that, or they chuck bombs at people. They have some sort of magical / fighting ability that is far superior to that of a normal human, whereas really the lowest of the low Marines aren't really shown to do anything even close to that. Like you could say they're superior to normal humans because they're cartoon characters and it kind of just comes with the territory. But when you really look at what they're capable of doing, they're basically the same as regular humans, maybe a little superior. When compared to even the lowest of the low cultists, it's not even close. They're going to be completely fucking throttled by any cultist that they come across. However, when you get to the higher end Marines, even really not that high, I would say if you get to like captains and above, because Smoker is a captain in Logetown. I think Smoker in Logetown would probably do pretty fucking well against a decent number of the cultists on the island. So I would say captain and above, you're gonna start seeing all of those Marines just fucking rampage through the island, taking on a lot of different people. Not all of them, let me remind you. Like, there's gonna be decent, like, the higher end cultists are still gonna be able to beat captains and possibly even things like rear admirals, unless they have some kind of crazy power that protects them, like Smoker's Logi ability. And in case you're not sure, Logi abilities let you turn into an element so that if you try to get hit at any point, the move just fucking phases right through you. It can't hit you. You become that thing. So it's like trying to hurt sand or smoke or fucking ice or something. It doesn't do it. We already said that Akainu hates evil and he wants to eliminate evil, so that's what he's going to work on doing. Many of his army are going to die. He's not going to allow them to run away or be scared or anything like that. We've actually seen him slaughter his own men when they try to desert during battles, even if it's a battle they can't win or they don't stand a chance against. Because, you know, some of these Marines are normal dudes and some of the guys they're fighting against are fucking blowing up islands and shit. But the main issue that Marines are going to have when they get onto the island is they've never come across fucking black magic before. Like, we don't know what the devil fruits are. We don't know if they're biological or they're mystical or what. Like, we don't know. But there's no evidence that it's fucking black magic. So a lot of the stuff that they have to defend against other stuff in the universe, like their hockey can defend against a lot of different types of hacks that exist within the One Piece world, it's not fucking black magic. And the black magic that the Lamb and the other characters on the island have are things that straight up just don't exist in the One Piece world. Like, even if you take the absolute strongest of the Marines, Akainu, Even if you want to say, well, it's not Akainu, it's Scarp, whoever. Take any one of them. What would they do if the lamb decided to just freeze fucking time, which is something that he can do? What would they do if he decided to snap his fingers and turn them all into fucking bugs? What would they do? What about if he banished them into a hell dimension? Rip their souls out of their body, possess them, mind fuck them. Did any of the innumerable fucked up things that he can do to their body, minds, and souls that things like hockey and willpower have just never shown to be able to overcome? They have things that are similar, right? Big Mom does have the ability to rip people's souls out of their body, but her power is a very specific rule where it only works if the person she's attacking is afraid of her. If you're not afraid, she can't rip your soul out. That rule exists for a reason, because it would make her character super fucking broken in the One Piece world if that rule wasn't there. It's Oda's way of balancing the powers of the Devil Fruits and not making one super OP. That doesn't exist in Cult of the Lamb. Their soul-sucking ability is just fucking soul-sucking ability. There's no prerequisite that the character has to be afraid. So even if the absolute strongest characters came across the Lamb and tried to get into a fight, boom! Instant fucking death. It doesn't matter how much faster they are, how much stronger they are, which, by the way, it's kind of arguable if they even are stronger. I mean, we see the previous death god, Narinder, grow to the size that he completely dwarfed an entire mountain range. And while we've seen feats in the One Piece world that are comparable to that, we've never seen any feat that is just outright greater or confirmed to be greater. Like I said, even the splitting of the continent thing, we don't know how big the continent was. So we don't have an exact measurement of like how powerful that is. As far as we know, that fucking continent could be the size of Rhode Island. Who the fuck knows? But basically how this is going to turn out for the Marines is relatively obvious. Akainu's going to show up. He's going to absolutely hate everything that's going on here. He's going to try and stop it and get involved and slaughter the fucking cults because he's going to view them as just absolute evil. He's probably going to view them in a worse way than he views the pirates, honestly. He might even kind of let go of his hatred for pirates and just like, we got to stop these cultists. These are the real problem now. The pirates are bad, but they're not force-feeding shit to people because they think it's funny. Which, yes, is something that many of the cultists do. It's disgusting. They're gonna fight their way through a very large portion of the island, but once they come to the higher end, the bishops, the lamb, and honestly, possibly even a lot of the bosses, not even necessarily the god level characters, even Akainu is not gonna be able to do a whole lot to them. For one, the god level characters just straight up can't die. The lamb himself is a death god and has control over the aspects of life and death. That completely eliminates any chance Akainu possibly has to overcome him. And that's if the lamb and these other bishops aren't capable of indoctrinating most of the Marines when they get there. Yes, many of the Marines have very, very high levels of willpower, but if a Marine doesn't have Conquerors hockey, we have no evidence to really say that their willpower is really all that high. And most of the other not top tier Marines are going to be indoctrinated basically immediately if the bishops and the lamb want to indoctrinate them. Chances are they'll just kill them and they won't actually care to indoctrinate them. But if they do see value in any of them, they do have the option of indoctrinating them and turning a lot of the Marines against the Marines. Whether or not Akainu is going to survive is going to greatly determine whether or not he can give up. That's basically what it is. If he decides to stop pursuing the evil on the island, stop going after the lamb, stop going after the bishops, stop going after all of the crazy cultists, and just lets it lie, I don't think they'll really bother him. He's a big enough threat that it's like we don't have to fuck with you. But I really don't think that Akainu is the type of person to let it go. He absolutely despises evil and must eliminate it from the world no matter what. It's gonna be his fucking downfall here because he can't overcome what's here. No one in his army can overcome what's here. So maybe, very unlikely, he could set up some kind of system like the Marines have with the Celestial Dragons. Even though the Celestial Dragons are super fucking evil, they kind of like still work with them and they're cool with them. They're like, oh, don't hit them. And yeah, they have like this sort of weird relationship. Maybe they can do something like that with the cults, but I really don't see Akainu doing that because I don't think Akainu is cool with that even existing within the Marines currently. I really don't see him setting up another one with another super evil group of people. So yeah, he's gonna fight and he's gonna fucking die because he can't do anything against time stop and instant death magic. Yeah, there just isn't a lot the Marines can do against the Lands of the Old Face. The best things they got going for them is the Logia abilities, which won't defend against a lot of the dark magic, and their far superior speed, which they have counters for, like time stop. So they're fucked. Next up, we have Ainz Ungarn. Is that how you say it? That's probably how you say it. And he rules over Nazarick. Fuck. Anime / light novel series. But let me be perfectly clear, this is the anime version, not the light novel version. And you might be saying to yourself, well, Rouga, you really should read the light novel. Yeah, sure. I'm totally gonna go out and experience a story again that I've already experienced, except this time I can't fucking see anything happening. That's something I'm definitely gonna do. Nerd. Basically, Ainz's whole deal is he's like a normal nerdy dude who likes to play an online video game, and then goes to play the online video game the night before it's shut off, and it gets shut off while he's still in the game, and then for whatever reason he just doesn't leave it. He's just still there. But instead, it's not like the game anymore, it's a real fantasy world. But he's still aware that he's a gamer, but nobody else is aware that it was a game, because it's like not a it's like a real world version of the game. It's not exactly the game, but it resembles the game, but it's its like own real place. And then this really weird thing starts happening to Ainz, because the longer he's in this other world, the more he starts to believe that he is the character that he created. Like, he created an evil character to play in this game, like he's supposed to be a villain. And when he first gets into the world, he's not a villain, he's like this regular nerdy dude. But while he's there, he starts to lose who he is, and more he becomes more like his fictional character, which is this evil, conquering asshole. And like all the other characters we're going to ask today of what would happen if Ainz and Gao and the rest of his Nazarick, again, I'll write it down, people invade the lands of the Old Faith. And I'm not going to lie to you, 99.999 whatever % of his army is going to be completely wiped out, not stand a chance, won't even really be able to touch a cultist. He's actually going to do worse than the Marines in a lot of ways. Just, he's not up to snuff in terms of just physical fucking power. And if I were to describe the story of Overlord, it would basically be like if you play World of Warcraft and you picked a Horde person and you leveled them all the way up to the max level, whatever that is now, I don't know, they kept raising it. And then you take your character and you go over to the other side where the Alliance people or the good dudes are, and you go to a little town where there's like a bunch of level 4s and 5s, and then just fucking killed everyone and took over shit. But there were no like game moderators coming in and stopping you from doing that, or any rules stopping you from doing that. And then imagine that whole town of level 5s is just the whole fucking planet. Ainz is basically playing a fantasy world domination simulator on like the super easiest mode he possibly can be. The problem and the issue that he's gonna run in here is that the Lands of the Old Faith will not be on easy mode. It'll be on super duper hard mode. So right out the gate, pretty much his entire military force is not going to be able to do shit in the Lands of the Old Faith. When he sends them out to fight, they will be massacred immediately. And this is unusual for him because normally when he sends out his little skeleton army people, they actually do really well. Like, soldiers struggle against them quite a bit. Nobody in the Lands of the Old Faith is going to struggle against his little fucking skeletons. Now, him and his top tier generals and stuff, they're going to wipe out the vast majority of the armies. They're going to be able to take on quite a lot. I don't think it's going to be super duper easy for everybody, but he's going to be able to do it. And really, if you look at a list of Ainz's powers, he comes so close to being able to wipe out the gods in the Lands of the Old Faith. This is really the only reason why he's above Akainu, because within the Marines in One Piece, none of them, not even Akainu or any of the top tier Marines, have the hacks that is necessary to go up against the god level beings in the Lands of the Old Faith. Ainz does. He has most of what he needs. The problem is that everything he has is just shy of being what he needs. Like, for instance, one massive fucking problem that you're gonna have when you go up against the bishops and the lamb is that they can all fucking come back from the dead. That's a problem. Like, you can't kill something and have it come back, and like that's not good. So Ainz actually does have a spell that allows him to kill things permanently called True Death and completely stops resurrection. The problem is that his True Death ability is a form of death manipulation, which all of the gods in Cult of the Lamb resist against. Death manipulation does exist in that world, and they can use it on regular people to essentially kill them instantly. But you can't use them on other gods, and you can't use them on anyone who is blessed or given godlike power. They're all immune to it. So even though in theory Ainz does have the ability to stop them all from coming back from the dead, ergo winning entirely, he just doesn't have it in the way that he needs to in order to actually use it. Because since they're going to resist the death manipulation part, they're not even going to have to deal with the I can't resurrect part. And this is the case across all of Ainz's powers, every single one of them. It's either resisted by the bishops or the lamb, or one part of it kind of is, but another part of it kind of isn't, so it won't quite work the way he wants it to. On the flip side, because Ainz is in a world where he's significantly more powerful than basically everybody else, he hasn't had to deal with a whole lot of insanely overpowered, like, hacksy shit. So the Lamb and the Bishop's crazy shit that they can use against Ainz is gonna fucking work. I mean, they have shit that doesn't even exist in his universe. I've been reading the comic books of Cult of the Lamb as well recently, and the comic books add a lot of details that the games don't really give you. Like, for instance, in the games, there's this character who's like this fucking bird dude. I'm forgetting his name. They all have really weird names. But anyway, his ability is that he pulls out these tarot cards, and in the game, these tarot cards give you certain powers, and they're supposed to, like, predict your future and shit. Or at least, that's what we believed. If you read the comics state very clearly that the tarot cards that he pulls do not predict your future, they dictate it. The tarot cards can literally alter the fate of the people who have them, and the Lamb gets all of the tarot cards at one point or another. So basically, the Lamb should have really high level fate manipulation, as he has an entire deck of tarot cards to which he can dictate his own fate to go in whatever direction he wants to go to win anything he wants to win. It's fucking broken. The more shit this series releases, the more fucking stupidly overpowered that it seems, despite not really seeming all that overpowered to begin with. So as always, how exactly is it gonna go when Ainz shows up at the island? He's gonna want power. Like, the whole thing about Ainz is he can't really control himself anymore. He just is the evil compulsion that his fictional character is. He can't really act outside of what his character wants him to behave like, if that makes any sense. He's not under any form of mind control. He's just sort of lost who he is as a person. And the new person that he is someone who wants a lot of shit. Like, he wants to control shit, he wants power. He's playing the role of this evil, conquering, like, undead wizard asshole. And for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to be able to get off of that path. He's killed people that he actually really likes and he thinks are really cool, all in the quest for more power. I don't see a scenario where he gets to the lands of the old faith and just chills the fuck out and is just happy with having a little section of the land for himself. He's gonna want more shit because that's what he wants in the series. He keeps spreading and he wants more and more and more. He's like a world conquering sort of entity that will continue to fight until everything is his and his evil darkness has spread across the entire land, which he's not gonna be able to do because on this land, there's 5 other fucking assholes who can do all the same shit he does, just, you know, way better, and are constantly at war with each other in a way that Ainz has never had to deal with before. So, sadly, yeah, Ainz is also fucked. You know, I'm beginning to see a pattern here. We should break this pattern. Next up, we have Dr. Robotnik from the Sonic series. Big old fat dude, has an army of robots, big old mustache, and sometimes he's Jim Carrey for some reason. And I wasn't kidding when I said I was going to change it up, because this changes up a lot. This is the first character that I've done in this video where his army isn't going to be immediately fucking slaughtered. Robotnik is kind of known specifically for his army. He's not necessarily the strongest thing in his army. I mean, like when he's in his giant death machines, kind of, but for the most part, he's just like a dude. Like, his army is the thing that's so good. And the thing that's going to really be an issue for the Cult of the Lamb universe is that most of their best shit, I don't think is gonna work on robots. If we go down the list of all the crazy broken shit that the Lamb, the Bishops can do, death manipulation, soul manipulation, biological manipulation, all this crazy shit, it doesn't work on fucking robots. How do you use death manipulation on a robot? Is a robot even alive? That wouldn't do anything. The Lamb has the power of transmogrification. He can just instantly turn a creature into like a little bug thing. Can he do that to an inanimate object? Because that's technically what a robot is. I don't know. Probably not. You basically remove like all his strongest shit off the table and he has to just like fight them normally, kinda. I'm not saying he doesn't have any hacks that wouldn't be able to work against them, but all of his best ones, all my go-tos, they're gone. You can't use them. And in terms of how the Lamb and the Bishops and all the different little cultists are gonna do against the robots, it's sort of iffy. Against the weaker and even sort of mid robots, he'll do fine. But like, what the fuck's he gonna do against Metal Sonic? Metal Sonic's fast as fuck. And I don't know about this for sure, but can Metal Sonic move through pause time? I feel like Metal Sonic can move through pause. Like, Sonic can move through pause time, and if he can do it, Metal Sonic should be able to do it too. No. He can. He absolutely can. Because the Time Eater was able to trap everybody in this weird frozen time prison, except for the people who had Chaos Control. They were able to move around in the frozen time. And in Sonic Heroes, Metal Sonic stole the Chaos Control powers from Shadow, so he has it. So yes, he can move through stop time. So I don't think that the Lamb can use his fucking time freeze ability. Like, what happens? What's gonna happen? These robots are gonna flood all over the island, and they're gonna like fight on par. And the lowest robots and the lowest cultists are gonna fight okay, kind of. And then you're gonna get up to like the mid robots. It's still gonna be okay for the most part. But then you start getting into the upper levels of the robots, and they're gonna just fucking slaughter all of the cultists, get to the bishops, and a lot of bishops aren't really gonna be able to like touch them because they're too fucking fast, and they have like crazy like, oh, and also, would I give Robotnik the fucking Chaos Emeralds? Like, is that something that I should give him? Like, he could power some crazy fucking death machine with the Chaos Emeralds? Or would that be like not right because he doesn't normally have those? He has to collect them. What would happen if the Lamb got the Chaos Emeralds? What can he do with that shit? That would be cool. Like a fucking golden Super Saiyan Death God Lamb. I'd like to see that. That'd be really cool. Let's have a Sonic fucking Cult of Lamb crossover where we get Chaos Emeralds. They've already done like 2 or 3 crossovers with other games. This is a cool crossover. Let's do this one. Okay, but to get back to the point, we do actually need to seriously talk about what this motherfucker even has, because it's sort of like a MCU Thanos situation where Thanos himself isn't actually all that powerful, but then he gets the Infinity Stones. He's fucking like unstoppable. And I think most people saw the thumbnail and was like, well, this is stupid. Dr. Eggman fucking instantly obliterates. And well, yeah, I mean, he can just erase people from existence. As far as I'm aware, the Lamb doesn't have any defense to that. But the problem is, none of that shit's really his. Like, it's not stuff that he normally has. A lot of his most powerful moments are one-time power-ups or shit that he steals that isn't a part of his normal arsenal. Whether you're talking about the Chaos Emeralds, even though only one of the Chaos Emeralds is actually an emerald, the rest of them are like, it's like a ruby and a sapphire. Like, emeralds are green. So I don't know why they're called the Chaos Emeralds. And then you got Nightmare Eggman and Super Eggman and the Time Eater, which is actually like its own whole being. It's not even, like, you can't even count that as a weapon that Dr. Eggman has. It's literally a separate character. So I just sort of think for fairness sake, we can't give him all that, because they're not like his. We'd be giving him like a bunch of outside shit. You know what I mean? And not only that, but outside temporary shit. Not that he's going to be completely worthless without it. I mean, just his normal machines have been shown blowing up fucking planets and shit. So he's still very, very powerful. But the vast majority of his hacks are tied into like special, super ridiculous one-time power-up bullshit. And for the purpose of this challenge, yeah, I kind of have to strip him of it, because there wouldn't even be a fucking challenge. Well, he just gets to the island, instantly erases everybody there, and that's it? Well, that's fucking boring. But you know, giant planet destroying mechs is still pretty fucking good. So does all this shit combined means that Dr. Robotnik like wins? Like he'll just take over and kill everybody? No, not really. I mean, he'll slaughter a lot of the cultists. And let's say he does make it to the bishops, and let's say that Metal Sonic is powerful enough to just blitz and actually overpower and defeat them. He still has no way of taking them out permanently. Lamb can literally just say no to death. So you won't be able to kill the Lamb. And even if you do, he can resurrect. The bishops can't really say no to death, but they can come back from it. So again, there's no permanent solution for him. I mean, even if Eggman blew up the fucking planets, all the bishops and the Lamb don't need to breathe. There's an area in the game called Anchor Deep, which exists underwater, and the Lamb can go there for days if he wants to. He doesn't require breath. And he has levitation abilities and shit, so he'll be able to fly through space. Like, that wouldn't solve Eggman's problem if he blew up the planet. But then again, there isn't necessarily a permanent solution for the robot army either. The Lamb's not gonna be able to indoctrinate them or anything. And Dr. Robotnik can just keep fucking making them again and again and again as many times as he wants to just flood the whole island with an army of robots. What exactly is the answer here? What happens? And to me, it seems super, super simple. Dr. Robotnik has to die or get indoctrinated. Those are the only 2 options. And the question of whether or not they would actually be able to do that, yes, but only the Lamb or the bishops themselves. They'd be the only people to be able to do that. But if they did try to do that, they'd fucking do it. If Dr. Robotnik shows up in his giant fucking crazy metal monstrosity and he tries to fight against the Lamb doesn't actually have to fight against his robot. The Lamb can just death manipulate him, transform him into a bug, mind control him, banish him to a hell dimension, whatever, from inside the robot. He doesn't have to go through the robot. Like, Sonic fights Dr. Robotnik, he has to physically fight the robot to get inside where Dr. Robotnik is. The Lamb doesn't have to do that. He's not bound by shit like that. If he wants to, he can just teleport inside the fucking ship and stab Dr. Robotnik. This could be super easy. But even if he doesn't want to do that, he can literally just like use any number of his hacks while Robotnik is in the robot, because the fucking metal walls and shit are not going to protect him. So all it's actually going to take for the Lands of the Old Faith to win this is just meeting Dr. Robotnik. If he ever runs into Dr. Robotnik, it's over. Robotnik would have to stay far away from the god level beings on the island and just keep throwing robots forever. But if he does that, that's not even going to be a win. It's going to be a fucking stalemate, because Robotnik can just keep making robots forever, but the Bishops and the Lamb can just keep resurrecting all their dead followers. So it's just infinite. It's just going to keep going forever. So I'm definitely giving this to the Lands of the Old Faith, simply because they can't die and Robotnik can, but it's gonna be pretty good. It's gonna be like, this is the best army so far that's gone up against the Cult of the Lamb army. It's like the strongest one, maybe other than Skulls of the Shogun army. That was probably the best army, but so this is like a close second. A close second in terms of the army. Nice going, Robotnik. You fucking did it. Last up, but certainly not least, we have Nightmare from the Soul Calibur series. Technically, also not really a conqueror, but I mean, he's evil. He comes to your land. He fucks shit up. He's an invader of some kind. It's close enough. I will allow it. And people who have been on my channel before know more or less how I feel about Nightmare. He's basically like, how do I describe him? He's like if you took the Lord of the Rings Ring of Power and then turned it into a big ass fucking demon who's a master swordsman, who also has like a copy ability where he can copy the skills and powers of people that he sees. The only reason why Nightmare isn't one of the most powerful characters in all of gaming and people don't discuss him in that light is because he's in a universe that really isn't all that powerful. If you took him out and put him in a stronger universe where he can copy all the powers of that universe and corrupt the shit out of it, he would be fucking strong as shit. Imagine putting him in one of those top tier universes like Marvel or Warhammer 40k or whatever, and just watch him steal the fucking powers and abilities of all of the different crazy things that he runs into. And today we're gonna take him and put him in the Lands of the Old Faith, where that's exactly what he's gonna fucking do. For one, even if he wasn't like a super overpowered master swordsman type character, he would already be a problem if he just fucking stands in one spot and doesn't move, because he has this constant corruption that just spreads across the land wherever he is, that constantly mind fucks and gives people visions and makes them want to serve him. Like I said, it's like the Ring of Power from Lord of the Rings, but just a demon sword instead. But he's not just gonna stand there and passively corrupt people. He's gonna, walk on into the woods and start fucking slaughtering people and try to take over shit and copy powers and make the Lands of the Old Faith his bitch, essentially. Now, this isn't the most interesting topic in terms of how the characters will interact and how they're gonna play off each other, because Nightmare's a pretty fucking simple character. He just like wants to corrupt and kill and maim and destroy and own shit. Like he's very simple. The thing that makes this interesting is really just one interesting question that it asks. Can Nightmare steal the powers of the Bishops and the Lamb? And the answer to that question is, I don't know. Maybe. And the reason why I say maybe is because the powers of the Lamb don't come from the Lamb. It comes from the red crown. The red crown that sits on his head. Now, we know that Nightmare's sword, Soul Edge, can transform into different weapons based on what he wants and copy the properties of those weapons. But can it turn into the red crown and copy all of the powers of the red crown, which is a sort of like a maybe not magical dark evil object that has like its own sentience and shit? I don't know. It's never done that before, because nothing like that really exists. I mean, the closest thing like that exists is Soul Edge itself. Like, it's a sword that's possessed by a demon known as Inferno that corrupts and possesses its wielder and starts copying the powers of other people. I don't know if it'll be able to turn to the red crown and copy all the powers of the red crown. If it can, we got a fucking problem. If it can't, then we don't. The Lamb just like opens up a portal to another dimension, flings him in that dimension, problem solved. Nightmare has absolutely no way of coming back. But if he could steal the powers of the Lamb, then no, he just jumps right back. It's fine. It's not a huge deal because the Lamb can travel back and forth between dimensions. And if he can copy the powers of the Lamb, what's going to end up happening is you're going to essentially have a more efficient version of the Lamb. The Lamb can spread his influence very, very quickly. He can indoctrinate people. People want to follow him because he's very charismatic. He has a lot of really cool powers that allow him to spread his influence. And based on people's devotion to him, how many people are devoted to him, and how devoted they are, his power increases. It's based on the devotion that people give him. However, if Nightmare gets that same power, the powers of the Red Crown, Nightmare will also have his passive corruption that just spreads across the lands of the Old Faith and starts mind-fucking people and will make them kind of want to serve him. Now, to be fair, when people get corrupted, he does not corrupt them in a way that makes them want to serve him. In the Soul Calibur franchise, he corrupts them in a way where it's like they want to seek out the sword and grab the sword, and that will make them get possessed and all that kind of stuff. And it allows Nightmare to continue his massive murder spree. That's usually how he corrupts people. But if he does get the powers of the Lamb, and those powers are reliant on how people serve him, Nightmare could possibly use his corruption in a different way that he's never used it before to essentially, instead of beaming images of great power and stuff if they wield this sword, they will have images projected in their mind that is more along the lines of, like, I love this dude, I want to serve this guy, I'm devoted to this guy. And if that ends up happening, Nightmare's power will soar since he'll be able to get influence a lot faster than someone like even the Lamb will, despite the fact the Lamb can get influence very fucking fast. The only thing I gotta say that might affect like how effective this is gonna be, that was weirdly worded, the Lamb can instantly indoctrinate any person that he comes into contact with. There's no time at all. He's just boom, indoctrinated. Okay, you're indoctrinated. Nightmare can indoctrinate way more people since he could just do sort of this passive corruption across the land, but it takes a lot longer for him to corrupt people because based on people's will and their ability to sort of fight back and stuff, it's not immediate. Sometimes it takes days or weeks or months or whatever. And in terms of like that, the Lamb is actually probably better at indoctrinating. Like he's better at indoctrinating individual people, but Nightmare is better at indoctrinating large groups, I guess. I would say, if I had to say. That's what I would say. So what exactly would happen if Nightmare and the Lamb came into contact? I mean, it kind of seems like it would be a stalemate, honestly. If both characters literally have all the same powers, you know what? I'm fucking lying. Even if he can take the powers of the Red Crown, it doesn't necessarily mean he can take the powers of the tarot cards. Like, what the fuck is the sword gonna do? Turn into an entire deck of tarot cards? Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. You know, in fact, he has a lot of little items. The Lamb has a massive assortment of tons and tons and tons of items that all have different powers that are not tied directly into the crown. So, technically, even if Nightmare stole the powers of the Lamb and got all of the Red Crown powers, he still wouldn't have even close to a fraction of the full number of powers that the Lamb has, and the Lamb would like completely outnumber him just in terms of like, even if the sword can turn into all of the different little items that the Lamb has, it would only be able to turn into like one item at a time, so he would still be vastly limited on the powers that he can do. I think Nightmare loses here. Not permanently, because Nightmare can't really be taken out permanently. Like, even if you destroy the sword, the corruption remains, and it will constantly mind-fuck people to come and take the sword and put it back together. So I don't think that, like, he'll ever be dealt with entirely, but he also can't ever be at the full power that the Lamb or the Bishops are, because their powers come from multiple places that I don't think Nightmare will be able to copy. So this is an interesting one. I think Nightmare is going to be just a permanent force on the island, this permanent force of corruption that might be somewhere. I think he might be beaten at some point by either the Lamb or the Bishops. He might be shattered, and then once he's shattered, they're gonna put him somewhere and they're gonna fucking leave him there, like, don't fucking go there. And he might call to people. They might have to put guards there so no one like goes in. Even the guards might get corrupted, and he'll eventually inevitably get put back together, and he'll be a problem again, and then the Lamb's got to deal with him again, and that becomes like a whole thing. So I don't think the Lamb can ever permanently put him down, but they can't really deal with each other either way. So it's just gonna be, he's basically gonna be the same thing that he is in the Soul Calibur universe, which is that it doesn't matter how many times Nightmare gets put down, he always comes back inevitably through some kind of plot reason, because this motherfucker keeps corrupting people and having them bring him back, essentially. So yeah, he would just become a permanent mainstay on the island, almost like that shadow fox that shows up every once in a while, and then the Lamb sacrifices people to it and shit. He'll be like that. He'll just be a constant force on the island that nobody can deal with permanently, but people can deal with temporarily until, you know, the next time he gets out and fuck, now we gotta do this shit again. So yeah, it seems like he would do pretty good. He survives, at the very least. But that's gonna be all for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, enjoy the membership. Remember to join the membership, you get videos early. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?